I'm gonna show you how to melt down your beads in the 5.5 pound warmer. You're gonna have the temperature set to the max. And once you've let it sit and warm up for 5 minutes, you're gonna uncover. I'm gonna go ahead and pour in a full 2-pound bag of the Nova Wax beads into my tin. And then I'm just gonna flatten the beads out, cover, and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. So something really quick that I wanna touch on, if you're using a 5.5 pound warmer, this is primarily for larger services. If you're a licensed professional, this is ideal. If you're gonna have a full wax day, you're gonna wanna fill this warmer to the top. That's what we're gonna go over today with the meltdown. It's going to be a full warmer with the tin in for basically a full day of waxing. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes on my 5.5 pound warmer that I've been melting it down on the max temperature. We're gonna check in on it. And we're just gonna give it a good mix. Remember, I'm melting the wax beads down in the tin. So I do have the tin insert. You can do it without the tin, it's preference. I prefer without the tin. I just prefer getting that direct heat without the tin barrier. So that's why I don't use the tin. And I'm just gonna give it a good mix. And kind of just coat all those beads with the wax that's already been melted down. Now, one of the reasons I don't like working with the tin is because I just feel like it's an added layer that's blocking from the internal heat of the actual warmer. It's still fine, you can still work with it. All right. Now, right now, it's kind of resembling Rice Krispie treats, which is totally fine. You're gonna continue to just kind of work it in. Mix it up a bit with your temperature still set to the max. Okay, once you've coated your beads and you've mixed it all up pretty good, I'm gonna go ahead and add more wax to the warmer. What we currently have in the warmer is 2 pounds of the Nova Wax beads, and it's about 30% full. So I'm gonna add another 2-pound bag to the warmer. I'm only gonna add about half of the bag so that I'm able to mix up that wax properly. And I'm going to cover it up and let it sit for another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 to 10 minutes since I've added half a bag of the 2-pound beads to my 5-pound warmer. Let's see where we're at. The reason I don't like to add the full bag is because it gets too difficult to mix, because now you're working with a lot more wax in a bigger warmer. So you want to be able to have more control over the consistency and the meltdown. Since we're not working with the wax yet, it's okay that it's still on the max. It's going to help us break down and melt this wax down a lot sooner. And basically what I'm doing is just kind of like this pushing motion. I get my stick and I just kind of push the wax into the warmer. Because the existing wax that was already in there is so hot, it's like a lava consistency. It's going to ooze into the beads and it's gonna get into the little crevices and the little gaps, and it's gonna slowly start to melt your wax down a lot better. And you wanna just keep working it in. And once I feel like that wax is worked in pretty good, I'm gonna add the remainder of the beads into the warmer and then let that sit for another few minutes. So now my beads are completely submerged into the wax. I'm gonna add the remainder of the 2-pound bag. Okay, and then I'm just gonna flatten the beads out. I like to line it up on the edges here. Just feel like it kind of warms it. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes on our 5.5 pound warmer. I have it set to the max temperature. Let's see where we're at. Okay, I'm gonna take my stick and I'm going to basically just push down the beads into the really hot lava wax. This bad boy has melted down very nicely. It's super hot. And just because I wanna fill the warmer to the top, I'm gonna add more beads. So currently what I have in here, I would say is about 4 pounds. I'm gonna add an additional pound and we've reached about 5 pounds of wax. So I've added some more beads to the wax. It is very hot because it has been sitting for 15 minutes. I'm going to basically, now I haven't touched the temperature dial, okay? Because I'm working in a little bit more wax, and that wax is hot. It's like lava. So I'm just gonna mix the beads into that super hot wax. Yeah, it's time to turn this bad boy down. So I'm gonna turn the dial down to about 65. Right there. Leave it uncovered. Work that wax through. Let that really, really hot wax start to get into those little gaps and crevices of the beads. And I like to kind of grab the stick and push the beads, those little balls that mold together. I like to push those up against the walls of the warmer just to kind of break it down a little bit. And then we just start to mix it up. And you know, this is pretty toasty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna turn that bad boy off. It's too hot to work with. You can add a little bit more wax if you wanna get it to temperature, and that's what we're gonna do, just because if you are in a time crunch and you just don't have the luxury of waiting around until that gets to consistency, this is how you can cool your wax down. You can add more beads. And because I didn't fill it to the rim, I do have some space in the warmer to add more. So we're just gonna do a little sprinkle, okay? Sprinkle that on the top layer of your Nova Wax cake. And just blend it, fold it in like it's a delicious cream, because Nova is delicious. She works wonderfully at any consistency. If you know how to properly work with Nova Wax, you can make this bad boy work any way you want it, okay? We're gonna mix that in. So I've had this warmer completely turned off. We're gonna click it back on. It's been about 10 minutes. And it's because it was too warm. I did add wax to the warmer, so that kind of helps bring it to consistency. Now I'm gonna turn the warmer up to about in between 85 and 75, okay? Because there's so much wax in here that you wanna make sure that the heat is regulated properly so that your wax doesn't get too tacky or it doesn't get too hot. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the consistency that we're at. Oh, she's beautiful. This is the consistency that I use when I'm doing larger services like legs. And whenever you see those videos of me laying those massive strips and you guys are like, how'd you get so much wax on your stick? This is how I do it, ladies and gentlemen. I just pull from the edges into that tackier wax and I get this nice honeycomb on my stick. I'm gonna demonstrate how I do those strips on my lower legs right now. I'm just gonna mix up the wax. Remember, whenever you're getting ready to pull wax, always make sure that you get a good mix on your warmer, because since I left this uncovered, what happens with the cool air, it starts to just really cool the wax down significantly at the top, creating like a film. Kind of like if you left pudding in the refrigerator with no top, it creates that gross film. That's kind of a similar consistency that you get with wax when it's left uncovered. All right, I've turned my warmer back on. We have it full. We have the warmer full. It's set to about 85. And now that I mixed it, I'm gonna get a clean stick, so a new stick. I find that if I were to use this again, it just gets in the way of creating that perfect cotton candy, honeycomb vibe. All right, so let's get a nice, that's good. And I'm just gonna cut the wax, take it all the way down to my ankle, and create that lip at the end. Lift your stick. This is perfect consistency, and it's ready to go. So remember, I don't have to touch it, I don't have to pat it, it's ready to go. Lift that lip. And it's nice. I got all those hairs from the root, and let me tell you, there's a lot of hairs, okay? You're working with a 5-pound warmer. You don't really have to play with the temperature gauge as much because there's so much wax in there already at consistency.